Hi friends, my name is Erin and this is Daily Elevations. And today I wanted to talk about the mind-body connection and how powerful that is as we're continuing this kind of talk about resilience and how we can be more resilient and how one of the ways to do that is to really manage our thoughts for the purpose that our thoughts actually can change matter. So I'm going to approach this by sharing two ridiculously personal stories, which I hope, you still love me after you hear these. But in high school, it was winter break. It was the Christmas break. And my boyfriend at the time was expecting to see a lot of me, and I did not know how I felt about that at all. And rather than really deal with my feelings, because I was in high school, I just decided that playing sick was going to be the best option for me. I got so sick. I had a fever. I was weak. I couldn't keep anything down. I was miserable for the entire break. And I kid you not, this was due to the stress and the really powerful idea that things will be better if I'm just sick. If I'm sick right now, things will be better. I won't have to worry about this stressor. So needless to say, I was always kind of blown away with myself at that and curious. Kept me curious. There was another time, we go back even further, equally as embarrassing. I was a young kid and I had this epic-sized collection of warts on my knee. This collection of warts was so big that when we went to the doctor, they did not want to do anything with it. They just told us to bury a potato in the backyard and ask our grandmother to do whatever wives' tale she knows will repair it. It was just like, we've got nothing for you. We cannot burn this off or do anything. So at that time, my mom had been reading some Bernie Siegel books and about how he had kids with cancer kind of imagine their tumor being, blown up and disappearing and shrinking and all of that, and how some of these kids had just this spontaneous remission based on the power of their thoughts. So my mom told me about these kids and she showed me some of the pictures that they had drawn, and she was like, maybe you can picture your warts melting away. I did that once. I got such a graphic image. I was going to sleep and I imagined my warts melting away. And you know that scene in one of the Indiana Jones movies where the guy's face just melts off and it goes through bone and then it just goes, yeah, I melted my entire knee, right to the bone. I actually freaked myself out a good little bit, but I did it with all of the intensity of thought, emotion, belief, faith. I could do this, and within weeks my wart was gone. And my mother will attest to this story too. So I've had the experience. There's more that I could keep going on, but those two were really kind of primal to my curiosity about this whole thing. And there's many, many stories like that throughout the world of people going it. There's also the stories of people visualizing and wanting and doing all the right things, but not having those kinds of experiences. So what's the difference? And then there's the times that, we can kind of take this to an extreme where it's oh gosh, I'm responsible for everything. This is my fault. This is my fault. This is my fault. What thoughts am I having? And I've met some folks on that side of the scene too. So I don't want anybody to hear this and go overboard, but I just want to open it as the potential of who we are as humans. In many ways, is what thoughts we can create with that purity, backed with emotion, backed with faith, and that we can really create anything in that consistent kind of intentionality. And then I'm going to go into my theory on why this is that we can actually change the world or change our bodies based on these really clear intentions. So, what our body is, when we get down to it, is we have these cells, billions of cells, that are strangely devoted to being us. They like duplicate themselves for us. They pass on everything they know about us to the next cell, and then they die off, and then they do it again. And we're really a different person today. Like every single physical part of us is different than it was 7 years ago. There's not an ounce of us that can live past 7 years. Like that's so trippy because you remember past 7 years. So what is it in you that remembers? There's this crazy level of consciousness and something that's holding this whole piece together, right? So I say this and I talk about it like it's magical because if we can actually recognize that there are miracles happening within us every day, like our mere existence is kind of a miracle, then we can kind of shift our state of thinking into like, okay, if every little cell in me is essentially a miracle that's somehow carrying this energy and we don't really completely understand it or how it works, maybe I can just open up to the possibilities that my mind and my thoughts are way more powerful than I give them credit for being. So that's all. This is all to just be like, let's open the ideas. Let's all the things that we think we know and we're sure of and that limit us and that we say we can't and that we really believe that and things get cut off. Like, this is just a conversation to open up. Anything's possible. So go big and see what happens. So we've got these cells. Inside the cells, we've got DNA. And DNA used to be like what your parents have, you will have. What you have, you're going to pass on to your kids. But more and more science today about DNA is saying, no, DNA has markers. And all of these markers get turned on or turned off based on your environment. Environment can be internal, thoughts, feelings, all of that kind of stuff, or external. What are you eating? How are you sleeping? How much stress do you have? So DNA is markers, turning off and on. And then inside our DNA, so we have control there too, is the point there. We're not destined to anything. We have control there. And then inside of our DNA, we have these atoms. And the atoms have a nucleus in the center-ish. And then they have this proton and electrons that are circling all around the center, the neutron. But ultimately, all atoms is like 99.9% space. There's like nothing there. There's this like tiny little thing, and then there's these like even tinier things kind of circling around it, all energy. And what's really crazy is that those protons and electrons actually kind of flash on and off. Like you can see them, you can't. Like they kind of have this rhythm of flashing on and off. So sometimes you're not even there at all. Like the essence of what's you sometimes just isn't even really there. So fascinating quantum physics-y kind of stuff. But we have powerful, powerful ways of creating in this world, I believe, because ultimately we are space, we move around in space, and we move with energy and intention. And energy and intention gets stronger when we can back it with emotion. And what's really fascinating, which I'm going to talk about tomorrow, is how positive energy trumps negative energy all the time. Like one really committed positive source of energy can actually hold stronger than a whole bunch of negativity around it. Negativity weakens. Positivity strengthens. And we have a lot of negativity around us. So the idea that just that little positivity can be strong, and we can filter that space and create much more powerfully than we think is possible. So just know that whatever parts of your body, whatever parts of your life, it's literally just made up of space and energy. And your thoughts can pierce that easily, especially when you back it with a really strong feeling that is positive and celebratory and gratitude and love. So go make your life a better place. Know that anything's possible. Open up to the magic and see what happens. All right, you guys have fun.